Hey, what's up everyone? Nick here. Welcome back to my Deadly Obsession walkthrough for Shadow of the Tomb Raider. We are moving on to part 2. Now, you should recognize this location. This is where we left off at the end of part 1 at the first base camp of the game. I still had 2 upgrade points that I didn't spend at the end of the last video. So you saw I just got the skill called Viper's Nest. That was just my choice. Of course, you are free to choose any upgrades that you want, although I will say that if you take a moment to look at all of the different upgrades you can make, you'll notice that some of them talk about, it'll say something like, oh, you have a better chance of, I don't know, getting a headshot while you're in survival instinct mode. But keep in mind that on Deadly Obsession difficulty, you can't use survival instinct. So any upgrade that any upgrade that says that it happens during survival instinct, you should basically just ignore those, because you're not going to be able to take advantage of those upgrades because you don't have access to survival instinct on this difficulty. Now you're going to come to this large open area here, and before you start looking around for supplies and resources, what you're going to want to do first and foremost is approach the plane, and Lara is going to try to take a piece of this metal shard off of the propeller. And the reason we're doing this is, so if you remember, just to kind of, recap you on the story, Lara just survived a plane crash into this forest, into this jungle, and she unfortunately has lost her equipment, her hiking tool, her bow and arrow, her guns. She's lost her equipment, and so we need to somehow make a makeshift knife. So what you're going to do is, once the plane falls into the water, you're going to follow it down there. This eel is going to attack you, and so you'll see you're going to be prompted right there to simply press the square button a few times, or X if you're on Xbox. She'll rip the metal piece from the plane, and now you have your makeshift knife. Now, unfortunately, the knife is not ready to be used. It's a dull piece of metal, and so we're going to have to sharpen it. Now, to sharpen it, this is another way that the game introduces you to a mechanic. So not only can you upgrade Lara's attributes, you can also upgrade her weapons. And the way that you upgrade weapons is by getting various supplies throughout the land. And so this is kind of your introduction here, and you could see that the game is telling you that you need to get a certain amount of this salvage, in order to sharpen the knife. So what I'm going to do from that location is I'm just going to go in like a big counterclockwise circle around the map here. So you could see there's a wooden crate that I just busted open, and that already had 2 pieces of salvage inside. So the salvage is not hard to come by. The difficult part is, again, on Deadly Obsession mode, you can't use survival instinct. So you actually have to keep an eye out for those boxes. You can't highlight them with survival instinct. Now right here, I just wanted to show you, that is the entrance to a hidden tomb. So of course Tomb Raider gets her name because she raids tombs. And throughout the game, you find a lot of these optional tombs. That being, I think, the first one that you can come across. Now, you actually can't get inside of that tomb anyway because you don't have your equipment. But I do want to emphasize the fact that this walkthrough, this is a main story walkthrough. So my goal with this series is to help you beat the game on Deadly Obsession mode. And because the tombs are optional, I am going to ignore those during my main walkthrough. Now that being said, the tombs are a lot of fun, at least if it follows the pattern of previous games. The tombs are often the best part of the game. So what I will do is, after I beat the game on Deadly Obsession, then I might go back and do all of the tombs and all of the side quests still on the hardest difficulty. But again, just keep in mind that if I choose to do that, those will not come until the end of this series. They are not going to be included in the main video. So everything that you see in these videos, these are things that you need to do to beat the game. So I just want to make that clear from the beginning. Now again, like I said, all I'm doing here is I'm basically going in a big counterclockwise circle around this map, and you can see that I'm getting quite a few supplies. So here I just got Jack's Journal. That's just a collectible that gives me experience points. I've also found a couple of these dead animal carcasses. Those contain resources. You'll see right here I just dug up some more salvage, got some experience points as well. So during this moment, once you have your sharpened knife, or actually we haven't sharpened the knife yet, once you have your knife, that's when you're able to start kind of exploring, even though it hasn't been sharpened yet. So I recommend just taking the time, you know, just be patient and take the time to explore this area and get everything you can. You don't need to get 100%, okay? I was looking at Power PYX's trophy guide for this game, and, you know, a lot of the trophies are related to getting all of the collectibles, getting this and that, and what have you. And he, you know, really stressed the fact that you do not want to go collectible hunting on this difficulty, because you cannot use survival instinct. If you die, your game isn't saved. It doesn't make sense. It would be a stupid decision. So what you see me doing here, this is not me vigilantly scanning the entire area, making sure I don't miss a single resource. That's not what it's about. All I'm doing is I'm just taking a leisurely stroll through the area, and any resources that I happen to see, I'll pick up. If one resource in particular seems like it's kind of hard to get to, maybe I won't focus on it. Maybe I'll just skip it. The point is, you don't have to go all out, but just take a little bit of time to scan the area, to walk around, and get any resources that might be on your direct path. And now that I have all of the salvage that I needed, I actually had some excess. My knife is sharpened and we can cut down the supplies. So first you're going to cut down that rope there. Then you're going to follow the path around to the left. There are numerous ways you can go about climbing here. That's another one of the beauties of this game is oftentimes when you need to get somewhere, there are a lot of different ways you can do so. So either way, do what you want, but you have to get up here, okay? And you could see that there is a second parachute cord that we're going to have to cut in order for our supplies to drop down. So here you go. It's located right here. Pretty good reference point. You should be able to find that spot, no problem. And then once the resources are on the ground, you can make your way towards them, and that's going to get us our bow and arrow. Now, as to what I was saying earlier about, you know, these videos, they're going to contain the bare essentials. These videos are meant to get you through the game, okay? And that being said, if you go down...
Miguel, where are you?
So remember, Miguel is the pilot that was flying the plane, and he got knocked unconscious. Anyway, if you are playing along, if you are using this walkthrough, if you look in the description of my video, I will tell you what parts of the game I cover in this video. So, for instance, this video is going to be titled something along the lines of... actually, I don't want to say it yet, but... well, I guess you're going to see the title anyway. This video is going to be titled something along the lines of Jaguar attack, because, as you can guess, we're going to be attacked by some Jaguars. But if you go down into the description, I will explicitly tell you what parts of the game you're going to see in this video. So I'll say the Jaguar attack, the counterweight water puzzle, the dream sequence. You know, these are all sections that we're going to see covered in this particular video. So if you're playing along looking for help, you can go into the description and you can make sure that the section you need help on is actually going to be covered in this video, because with a game like Tomb Raider, I don't really like this, but in a game like Tomb Raider, there are no distinct chapters. There's no chapter 1, chapter 2, whatever. It's more of just a kind of free-flowing game where you kind of just take a break whenever you feel like it. So, anyway, guys, we are now approaching kind of the first real threat of this section of the game. And again, as you can tell from the title, this is going to be the Jaguar attack. This is actually the first of 2 that take place in this part of the game. So go ahead and just follow the path. Before you go the main way, go left and you'll see there's an animal carcass up here. There's also a collectible, and again, those are always good for getting experience points. And then you're just going to go down the path. Make sure you get this wood right here. Get as many resources as you can. You're going to see a really intense cutscene. And then we're going to be thrown straight into essentially a boss fight, I guess. Alright guys, so once you gain control of Lara, for the moment you are not really in any danger. You're just going to go down this path. You can see the Jaguar off in the distance. You can't shoot it. It's not going to attack you. This is more just kind of cinematic. This is to build up the intensity. But what's going to happen is we're going to drop down in a moment, and we're going to be in this wide open area. And we're going to have to fight the Jaguars, and as you can see, the only weapon we have at our disposal is the bow and arrow. So of course you do, I mean this is obvious, but you want to make sure your shots count, because you do have a limited supply of arrows. You can see that currently I have 21, and with this initial fight, it's not necessarily about killing the Jaguar, it's kind of just about surviving long enough. So you can see here, as soon as you drop down, the Jaguar is going to rush you. Don't even try to shoot it, just dodge out of the way. So the game is going to tell you how to do that. Basically, you just press circle a couple times, or B if you're on Xbox. You can hit the Jaguar once or twice, and then it's going to retreat. Now, there are actually 2 Jaguars during this fight, but only one of them will ever be in the arena at the same time. So you'll only ever have to deal with one at a time. So again, the biggest thing you'll see me doing here is I'm basically just always moving. You just want to stay mobile, because that's obviously going to make you a harder target for the Jaguar. Now, the game kind of wants you to do these like fancy dodges. So the game, what it wants you to do is it wants you to wait for the Jaguar to be just about to hit you, and then if you dodge out of the way at the perfect time, it'll actually do this cool slow motion animation. Unfortunately, that just doesn't really work. The dodging mechanic is not perfect, and during my practice playthrough, I tried to do that mechanic, and I just kept getting hit. Like, it was really kind of stupid. So what you want to do instead is just, as soon as you see the Jaguar rushing you, don't try to make it look cool. Don't try to get fancy. You can see here, I'm just spamming the dodge button, and I just get out of there. I just roll away 2 or 3 times, turn around, and then once you've done that, you've likely put enough distance in between yourself and the Jaguar to where you'll be able to pull off a shot or 2. Okay, so after the fight, even though actually, if you noticed, I didn't take any damage during that fight, the game does walk you through the healing mechanic here. So it'll act like you've been hurt, and it tells you how to heal. Basically what you do is you press L1, or I would imagine left bumper on Xbox, and then you press X or A, and that's how you heal. Now, of course, you need resources to heal, and those resources come in the form of these little red berries that you see me picking right here. And again, that's another resource that's just littered throughout the area, but again, because we're on Deadly Obsession difficulty, they're a little harder to spot. So just, you know, as you progress through the game, make sure you're staying vigilant, because, you know, those obviously come in handy if you happen to take any damage. Now, with the Jaguar fight out of the way, you're going to make your way, so just follow the path that I took right there. You could see the rest of the plane at the top of this little mountain. And once again, like I was saying earlier, there are a couple different ways that you can actually climb this mountain. But I wanted to do one in particular, again, just to kind of show you what makes Deadly Obsession difficulty unique. So if you see right here to my left, you'll see this wall, and it's kind of stained yellow a little bit. If I were playing on an easier difficulty, that wall would be stained white, and the white is supposed to kind of be an indicator that you can climb the wall. So basically what they do on Deadly Obsession mode is they just try to make everything look more natural so that you really can't tell if you can climb a surface unless you give it a shot. So it's really unique. It just makes it all the more realistic.
I thought I got you killed.
Hey, do you know what happened to Miguel?
He didn't make it. What's wrong with your arm?
Some sort of parasite. I was looking for some wormwood, but it doesn't grow around here.
Let me see.
Oh, hey, what are you doing?
If we leave it in there, it'll only get worse. Sit.
Sure you know what you're doing?
I had something similar happen to me when I was a child in Egypt. I won't lie, it's gonna hurt.
You think that storm from earlier was the storm? The one from the mural?
I don't know.
I think maybe we should stop and take stock. We've been pushing so hard forward. Flying into that storm.
I didn't think it was gonna be that bad.
Well, I should have insisted we turn back. I mean, I get it. You lock onto a problem and everything else just disappears.
Jonah.
Hey, I'm with you. It's my choice, most of the time. But if we die, who stops the cataclysms? Who keeps Trinity from doing what they want?
Sometimes I feel like I have to keep going, and if I don't, then I'll just let everyone down. But maybe for the sake of a few hours, we could have turned back.
Maybe we should give him a name.
Okay.
Eli? No, my cousin. He's always trying to get under my skin.
Goodbye, Eli.
Thanks.
We should go. If we can find Yaku, we can rest for the night.
Sounds good.
So, guys, I want to use this opportunity to talk a bit about the Tomb Raider franchise. So again,
I think we can see the village through
as
the
you
lines
make your way through the game here, as you make your way through the path, just make sure
I'm
that
glad
you're
you stayed
taking
at
the
the
time
crash
to
site.
at least look briefly for some resources. So you'll see that right here I'm going to go down this path. This is
Yeah,
not the
I
main
think
objective,
Miguel was
but
heading
there's a
toward it then.
collectible here, and I get some experience points. So it's always worth it just to take a little detour. But you could see, like, down there's a whole lot of stuff to look at. I'm not going to bother with that, okay? I'm just going to kind of go for what's right on the easy path. Now, anyway, right here there is another
How'd you
base
manage
camp.
to get Eli
You
in
can
your
see that
arm
it takes
anyway?
3 pieces of wood to light the fire, and I highly recommend you do that because, again, the base camps are how you save your game. So, one, what we're doing right now, this is giving us a chance to save our game. So that means we are never going to have to do the Jaguar fight again,
I
or at
believe
least
that
that
if it is
Jaguar
true,
fight.
it's important
And then
not
you're
to
going to be
die
introduced to the
or for children to
crafting
kill for.
mechanic. We saw it earlier with the knife, but now you can see that we have our equipment. So you
When
can
I
see all the
took the
weapons
heat,
right here.
I also felt a
I have the
power
opportunity to
pulling me
upgrade my
towards
bow.
something.
I'm not going to do it right now because I want to save my resources, but, you know, if you feel that you want to make that upgrade, again, those are going to be up to you.
No.
Now, anyway, guys,
left me when
again,
Dominguez
as you make your way through the game here, just keep an eye out for
just
resources,
find
pick up everything you
okay?
can pick up. And what I want to do for the moment is I want to talk a bit about the game and the franchise. Because, again, if you're new to my
Wouldn't you rather
channel,
be somewhere warm and dry
whenever
than
we
here
have
and maybe
sections
a
of the game
friendly
like this
stranger
where
to flirt with?
there's not a whole lot going on, I like to just talk about video games, because at the end of the day, that's what I love, you know, and that's why I started this channel. Now, of course, once we get to the puzzle and once we get to the more difficult sections, then I'll use my commentary to provide, you know, helpful tips and tricks and actual strategy. But moments like this, I like to just talk about the game. So anyway, if you are a follower of my channel, you'll notice that I've never actually covered a Tomb Raider on this game before, or on this channel before, since the reboot. So again, remember, Tomb Raider is a very long-lasting franchise, but it wasn't until 2013 when they rebooted it
Come on,
with
stay
Tomb
close to
Raider,
me.
and then that was followed by Rise of the Tomb Raider, and now Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And people are saying that the reboot, it's a reboot trilogy. And if that's true, then this is going to be the last game of the current reboot.
Almost there.
I don't believe that. I don't think that's going to be the case because these are highly successful games and there's really no reason to stop. But, you know, I suppose we'll see. But anyway, I've never covered a Tomb Raider game on this channel.
I'm okay.
And it's not because I
Just a
didn't
couple
want
more
to.
steps.
It's just because the first Tomb Raider game came out before I even had
All right.
my channel.
I'm
So
okay. I'm okay.
so I didn't cover it when it came out because I didn't have a platform to cover it on. Tomb Raider 2, I'll be honest, I actually didn't really care for Tomb Raider 2. I did not really enjoy that
In the
game.
Inca,
Now,
they
I'll
knew a
come
lot
back to
about
that point, but
hydraulics.
right now we're going to be at another puzzle. This is the, I guess you can call it the Counterweight water puzzle. And as
Maybe.
Jonah just said, the bridge is down. We got to find a way to get across this gap here. So first and foremost, golden rule of Tomb Raider, or actually I should say golden rule of Deadly Obsession, is before we go on with the objective, let's just take a moment to scavenge the area, make sure we get everything that's obvious, and then we'll continue on with the objective. So you'll see here I'm going to go down this path and there's a little hidden treasure right here. Very missable, you know, not incredibly important, but I mean, look right there, it gave me 25 XP. And who knows, maybe somewhere down the road, I'm going to be
wanna
very
try it?
thankful that I have that extra
I think I'll
experience, because
stick with
maybe
the
that'll
bottles
be
you
just
found
the
in the
little
cargo
push
from
I
the plane.
need to get an upgrade, you know, so every little bit counts. Now anyway, here we go. Here's how you solve the puzzle. So the first thing you want to do is climb up this ladder here, and you're going to see this little rotating crank that you can
if I had
turn.
known how much time
So
I'd
go
spent
ahead and
on
do
this side,
exactly that.
I'd have paid more attention in Boy Scouts. Hey, that did
And that
something.
is going to
I
get
think
the
the
water
water powers
flowing.
the bridge
Okay,
sometime.
so now what we need to do is we need to fill these buckets with water, because those buckets basically serve as the counterweight. Okay, so you can see the water going down this little tunnel right, or down this little
Does
canal right
boarding
here.
school count?
And so here's what you're going to do. What you want to do is you want to shoot this rope with your arrow and attach it to this rope up here. But obviously we can't do it in the state that this apparatus is in. So what you're going to do is you're going to come over to this large wheel right here, or this large stone cylinder, a little short cylinder, but it is whatever. You're going to come over to this and you're going to push it up the ramp. As soon as you're done, you're going to run back to this lower path here. Now, unfortunately, this first time you go to do it, you're not going to have enough time. I think the game does that intentionally just to kind of, I don't know, just to kind of screw with you. But also, on Deadly Obsession mode, the puzzles are harder. And one factor of that is that the timing is shorter. So you actually have to physically solve the puzzles faster than you would have to on an easier difficulty. But so here we go. You're going to push the thing all the way up, then immediately turn around, drop down to this lower path, run over to the center platform, and then there you go. While this thing stops, go ahead and shoot across the water.
Jonah, you can let go.
And there you go. That's how you do it. And the counterweights will now hold, and you can cross the bridge. Now, anyway, that's it. That's the whole puzzle right there. So pretty simple. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the game. So, like I was saying, I didn't cover the first game because I didn't have a channel at the time. I didn't cover the second game because, in all honesty, I really didn't care for the second game.
What's that?
And this game, the third game, I was not going to cover this. I actually wasn't even going to buy this game because I just, again, I really didn't care for the second game. I loved the first one, but I wasn't big on the second one. So I was actually going to skip this. But again, for those of you that follow my channel, you know that I just recently started grad school. I'm in a very intense PhD program. And, you know, things have been pretty stressful lately. So when I saw this game was coming out, I said, you know what? Sure, I'll cover it because I need something just to kind of take my mind off of work. And then, to make things even better, I saw that the deluxe version of this game, if you pre-ordered it, you actually got the game 2 days early. And from the standpoint of having a YouTube channel, that is very beneficial because you can use those extra 2 days to get content up before everybody else. So originally I was not going to cover this game, but like I said, in the end I decided to, and so far I'm glad I did. Now, the game is starting off, I don't know, rather slowly. You know, the first video there was a lot going on, but this video, there's really not much. I mean, there's some Jaguar fights, there's a dream sequence at the end that we're going to get to, and then there's a lot of scavenging, and that's really it. Now, real quick, I want to show you this path right here. That's going to lead you to another tomb, so I'm just going to skip it for now. But what I am going to do is I'm going to activate this base camp here. So again, that will take 3 pieces of wood, but we'll also get a chance to make upgrades if you want to, but more importantly, you'll get a chance to save your game. So, and I highly recommend doing that because we're about to come to the second Jaguar fight, and this one is, in my opinion, actually harder than the first one. So it is beneficial to have a chance to save your game. Okay, so once again, like I was saying, just take the time to properly scavenge the area. It pays to be observant. And as I was saying, we're going to come to another Jaguar fight. But yeah, this one is a bit tougher because whereas the first Jaguar fight, it was in kind of a wide open field. I don't know, it wasn't necessarily a field, but it was a wide open area. There wasn't a whole lot of things obstructing our view. That's not the case here. In this map, you're going to see there's a lot of trees and shrubbery and just all sorts of stuff kind of getting in our way. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is Jonah's going to pass you the flare gun. You're just going to do a little slow-mo shot right here. Buy yourself some time to get up and get away. Now you're going to pull out the bow. And what you're going to want to do as soon as you gain control, run down this path here, and you're going to find a supply of arrows leaning against these rocks right here. So make sure you get those arrows. It's not a lot, but chances are you're low on arrows from that first Jaguar fight, so every little bit helps. Now right there, if you want to, go ahead and rewind the video and watch that again. The Jaguar jumped through the tree. I'm not kidding. Rewind the video and watch that again. The Jaguar jumped through the tree and hit me. And originally I was going to just restart the checkpoint because I wanted to try to do this fight without taking any damage. But then I decided, you know what? No, that was kind of funny. Like, I wanted to leave that in there because that was just absolutely ridiculous. Now right here, when the Jaguar ran away, I took the opportunity to heal myself. But then another thing is I used this new ability called the Perception trait. And we learned this earlier in the level when Jonah and Lara found that, I forget what they called it, but they found something in one of the caves. And basically what that does is you can see now all of these animals are highlighted, so you can see monkeys and birds and a couple other things. And this is a very useful trait because now on the left side of my screen you can see the Jaguar coming. And so when you use the Perception ability, it's kind of like Survival Instinct, but only for animals, okay? Now, of course, it's not an unlimited feature. You do need a certain resource enabled to use, or enabled to be able to use the ability. So use it sparingly. Now, right here, every once in a while, the Jaguar might pin you down, and you'll see you're just given a little quick time sequence to fend it off. But otherwise, guys, this fight is essentially the same as the first one. You're going to just stand here and wait for the Jaguar to rush you. As soon as you see it rushing you, you're just going to dodge out of the way a couple times. And then you're going to try to pull off one shot, maybe two, but you don't want to get too eager. Otherwise, the Jaguar is more likely to hit you. So again, you'll see that's all I'm doing here, is I'm just rolling out of the way, putting some distance in between the Jaguar and myself, and then every opportunity I get, I try to go for a headshot, and eventually once you put enough into it, it'll go down. But again, the biggest key to success there is make sure at the beginning of the fight you run and get those arrows, because chances are you are going to need them.
Are you okay?
Help me with this.
Your back looks bad. I'm gonna go make camp. Let me take a look at that. It's not pretty. You know, with everything we've been through recently, I've been thinking about my brother. I always tried to protect him. From my father. From himself. But I lost him.
You did everything you could.
If I had been in the right place, at the right time, he would still be here. If I had eyes in the back of my head.
You can't protect everyone. Thank you.
I miss him.
I know. My parents. I miss them too. I had a dream about my mother recently.
Yeah?
It was so vivid. When I was little, my father used to keep things from me. Hide things. About her, especially.
Why would he do that?
After she died, he thought they'd cause me pain. It didn't stop me from looking for them, of course. I still have so many questions.
Your dad created as many mysteries as he solved.
Dominguez said that he would use the silver box of his shell to remake the world. If you had that power, what would you do?
Panic, probably.
You wouldn't go back to when your brother was alive and be with him again.
And lose everything else? No way. I like this world. It's not perfect. But everything I love now is in it.
To claim her treasure, the adventurer Lara Croft must outwit the king, reach the forbidden tomb, and solve the mystery of the White Queen. The way will be fraught with trials.
Lara, are you doing all that homework?
The adventurer should not dally any longer. In a minute, Dad!
Alright guys, so this is the last part of the video. This is the dream sequence. I mean, earlier you heard Lara telling Jonah that she had this really vivid dream about her mother, and then, you know, the characters fell asleep, so it was kind of obvious that something like this was going to happen, some type of flashback event. And obviously, you know, we're playing as Lara as a little girl. She's at the Croft estate. I'm not a huge follower of Tomb Raider. You know, I enjoy the video games. They made like a comic book series that bridged the story in between the first and second game. I did read those, but otherwise I'm not like a huge fan of the franchise. So I don't necessarily know a whole lot. You know, I know that she's an archaeologist. I know her dad was like a world-famous archaeologist. I didn't necessarily know that they were so rich, because you look at this house here. I don't even know if you can call this a house. It's a castle. I mean, it's enormous. I mean, she just called it a castle, even though she's kind of talking from a child's perspective. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I didn't know that, actually. I didn't know that the Croft family was so wealthy. But anyway, so you're gonna make your way through this sequence here, and it's really quite simple. It's just a matter of climbing. We are going to have to solve a puzzle, but, you know, that's what I'm here for. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do that. And so for the time being, I want to just remark on one more point, and it's kind of like a little mini review of the entire reboot franchise so far. So I mentioned in this video that I really enjoyed the first game, but I wasn't a big fan of the second game, and I will say that so far I'm really enjoying the third game. And I think it's interesting because part of the reboot was, this is essentially Lara's origin story. So in these games, she's not really considered the Tomb Raider. She's just Lara Croft, you know, and as these games have progressed, she's gotten more and more skilled, she's built more and more of a reputation, but she's still not yet the world-famous Tomb Raider that we all know from the, you know, the older games and movies in the franchise. She's still just young Lara Croft. But one interesting thing is, if you've played all 3 games, you've really seen how she's kind of grown and progressed, because in Tomb Raider 1, she is just, I mean, she's the definition of a rookie. And when she first has to kill somebody in that game, I mean, as you can imagine, it's like an incredibly traumatic experience for her, and she's shaking, she's crying, she doesn't think she's going to survive the adventure. Like, you could see that she really is just afraid, you know, because she's in over her head, essentially. And then you jump to Tomb Raider 2, and Tomb Raider 2, it was called Rise of the Tomb Raider. You could see that now Lara is a little more experienced. She goes into her next adventure maybe a bit over-eager, as if she has to prove herself or something. But she also is suffering from PTSD from her first adventure. So what you end up seeing is you see this kind of awkward Lara who seems like she should be more confident than she is, and she's just in this weird kind of mixture of states, and I would say awkward is just kind of the word to put on Tomb Raider 2. Whereas, as you can see so far in Tomb Raider 3, that's really not the case. Like, now we're really starting to see Lara start to fill her shoes. You know, she doesn't need help, I mean, other than her friend Jonah, but she doesn't need to be guided. She doesn't need her hand held throughout the adventure. Like, she's kind of the leader of the adventure now. And so I think it's really interesting how she's progressed in these 3 games. And yeah, so I just wanted to take that chance to share a little bit about, I don't know, the story so far with anyone who is watching and maybe hasn't seen anything from the previous games. I should point out, too, if you're a fan of the channel, if you'd like to see me cover Tomb Raider 1 and 2, you know, as always, let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. Now, anyway, right here, this is the puzzle. So our goal here is to get the White Queen, okay? And that little piece of paper that Lara just had out, that basically contains everything you need to know. So what you're going to do first and foremost is you're going to come to this globe over here, and you're going to rotate to the coordinates 30 north and 90 east, just as it said on the piece of paper. If you happen to forget what you're doing, you can press the inventory button, and you can look at that paper again. Okay, so you don't have to memorize the paper, it's in your inventory. But anyway, so once you rotate to the proper coordinates, again, that's 30 north, 90 east. Once you do that, you'll see this ladder come into the picture. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to climb up to the 2nd floor, and we're going to go all the way around. And there are a lot of artifacts in here, because again, her dad is a world-famous archaeologist, even though in the real world, archaeologists do not get to keep things that they find, you know, in video game world, in Tomb Raider and Uncharted and Indiana Jones. They don't play by real-world archaeology rules. Anyway, so the next thing you do is you're going to approach this crank here, you're going to turn it as far as it will go, and you'll see the wings of this bat will unfold, and that will trigger the next part of the puzzle. Okay, so now you're going to see these 2 red lights shining down, and you'll see all of these figures here, and you'll see that only 2 of them are carrying shields. Those are essentially the knights, and then all of the other little guys are just kind of pawns. So what you have to do is you have to get both knights under the red light. Okay, so one of them is really easy. You just push him forward, and it's that simple. But you can see for the second guy, the pawns are kind of blocking his path, so I wouldn't even really call this a puzzle. This is just kind of more tedious than anything. Because, I don't know, I think it's kind of obvious what you have to do. This is just, like, it's not testing anything except your patience. It's just a very weird, again, I hesitate to call it a puzzle. But anyway, so there you go. Now all the pawns are out of the way. We can push up the second knight, push it into the red light, and that's going to reveal the White Queen. but it won't yet unlock the White Queen. So in order to unlock the White Queen, we'll have to do one last thing. So here you see this backdrop will disappear. You can see the White Queen is trapped by the ladder. So what we're going to do is we're going to reverse the very first step, which revealed that ladder. So just go ahead and shimmy the globe one more time. The ladder will rise, and now you can free the White Queen. And then what you're going to do is you're actually going to drag her in between the two knights. Once you do that, it will open a hidden doorway. We'll go through, that will trigger a cutscene, and then I will join you at the end of the video when we unlock one more new base camp and have a chance to save our game.
Her heart pounding, our hero crosses the threshold into the unknown. These are Mum's things.
The path was dark and is guarded by bats, said the Red Knight. The White Queen regarded him with a curious smile and said,
Bats! I'm not afraid of bats. I'm not afraid of anything. Tell me about this.
You and me are riding a T-Rex in Egypt.
Where's Daddy?
At work.
Very, very important. I cannot abandon my responsibilities just on the verge.
You are always on the verge. Your obsession is destroying this family.
Obsession? I'm upset.
You are missing your daughter's childhood because you're always in some tomb on the other side of the world. Why can't you be happy with what you have?
Oh, for goodness sake, you don't have to deal with it!
Dad?
Please, for goodness sake, you've got to understand. This is probably the most important one I've arrived at. Well, okay, what do I do? I have to...
Dad? Dad! Dad! Come on. Please, Dad. Wake up. Dad. Don't leave me.
Morning. So, Silver.
And there you have it, everyone. That is the end of this section. You can see it came out to about 49, 50 minutes. I kept the dream sequence in here because I felt like that would be a weird way to open up part 3 of the walkthrough. Now right here it's going to prompt you to put on this new piece of, not armor, but just this new outfit from the Jaguar that we just killed, and then again you'll have a chance to make any upgrades or weapon fixes, anything like that. But anyway guys, that's it for this video. As always, I want to thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below on anything I may have mentioned in this video. And yeah, otherwise we will continue on in the next video. I'll see you guys then.